Hello, my name's John Thorne. Now, if you want to know what it's like to own a McLaren for 4 years, keep on watching. That's right, 4 years. 4 years we owned a McLaren. This one to be exact. It's a 2013 12C Spider. And we thought we'd do a video about owning it. We've done a few videos already so far, a few buyer's guides, a few how-tos, etc., and there are more coming. But we thought we'd do a little video really just about the ownership experience. What it's like to actually physically own one of these things day in, day out. Now, this is in part generated by some of the videos you've seen on YouTube late, where we've been people complaining, saying what a dreadful car it was, and how it let them down a lot, and how McLaren are terrible, and you know, don't buy these cars, they'll fall apart type scenario. Now, we're not being critical of these guys. I'm sure it's enormously frustrating having a car that goes wrong or a manufacturer won't support them. But they seem a bit ranty to me. So I kind of figured that maybe we do a video a bit more real life, a bit more ownership over a long period of time rather than 15 minutes, and just give an idea of a plan behind it. Again, nothing against the guys who didn't like it, really feel for you. I can well believe the problems that are generated in terms of owning one of these cars, but it's not all one-sided. So this one is really about what it's like to actually own a car. Now, the first thing it's worthwhile mentioning is that I think it's fair to say we are not McLaren fanboys here. McLaren aren't exactly our biggest fans, and we are not the biggest fans of McLaren, a manufacturer. As a McLaren independent, and we're currently the largest in the UK, probably in Europe now, we do a lot of McLaren work, servicing, tuning, upgrades, you name it. So that means McLaren Automotive don't like us very much. To the point they've made it very awkward for us to actually engage in business, by stopping us getting diagnostic equipment, timing tools for engines, all manner of these kind of things. But we deal with it and we live with it, and so it is. So let's not try and have a go at McLaren. We'll do that in another video probably, but it's more about say that we're not here shouting how great they are and everything. They have their downsides and have their problems, but really it's about what it's like to actually own a car. Now, I bought our one. I say our one, it was bought for the sole purpose of to understand the car, to learn them and be able to understand them before we start and let loose a customer's car. About 4.5 years ago, 2013 plate 12C Spider. Its list price at the time was £267,000, so it was pretty well spec'd. And 4.5 years ago, I paid £145,000 for it. So, let's deal with number one of the wonderful criticisms about McLaren ownership: depreciation. Yes, it's a killer. Okay, in real life, anyone who buys a brand new McLaren really has to think twice about it. But it's not a new thing. Yeah, it's a car that was 5-6 years old, and it still tanked money in the first year. It seems to be a McLaren trait of tanking money in the first year. So the way to avoid that is don't buy it in the first year, or even the first 6 months. So when you complain about your 720 or your Sports Series going down in value, there's nothing new. Just the first guy, he has the pain. So I paid £145,000 this car, 600 odd horsepower car with 800 miles on the clock. I'm pretty happy about that. And since then, it's gone down to probably around 90 grand over 4 years. I'm not going to complain about that, frankly. I've lost more in BMW M4s personally, but again, I wasn't the first owner. If I was the first owner and I paid $260,000 for it, and 4 years later on it's worth $90,000, I guess I'd be pissed off too. But it's not a new thing. So when you see 720s for sale at 160, 170,000, and they're 230,000 list cars, and they've had 1,000 miles on the clock, this isn't a new thing. I don't even think it's a McLaren thing, but McLaren certainly do suffer worse from it. When it comes to the ownership experience, yes, I thought I'd deal with that one first, because obviously depreciation is the biggest part of someone's bills. And that leads on to the second part of this, bills. We've had it 4 years. We service it ourselves, obviously, but we use McLaren parts. And in the last 4 years, it has had a total of £4,200 worth of parts and servicing. No labour. So on top of that labour, let's on say £2 grand, about £6,000 worth of costs over 4 years. About £1,250 a year, worst case. That ain't bad. I don't think it's disastrous, frankly, for a 600 horsepower supercar. We paid more than that in some BMW servicing over the years. So in terms of ownership costs of having one, as a general rule of thumb, 1,200 to 2 grand a year in servicing and costs, etc., is about right. And it's worth noting that that's not dissimilar to other supercars. So these aren't huge cars to run in terms of costs for general servicing. However, let us assume you have no real problems. So what problems have we had? Okay, right. There have been some. When I bought the car 4 odd years ago, the first trip I did was go to Le Mans in it. Took my son down to Le Mans first time. driving all happy. We actually met up with McLaren down there and had great fun talking to them, and went to their track. Went on Le Mans track. We lagged our way on and followed these guys around on their one of the Euro Tour, and really enjoyed myself. Even got invited to McLaren hospitality back when they liked us, and it was great fun. However, after that particular event, I come back to my car on the campsite and just pulled a cork on the floor. Not so good. Now, obviously at the time, I was surrounded by McLaren people from McLaren GT, and you know, we put axle stands up, we jacked it up on the car park, and we found a split hose from one of the little crappy clips, which I'll go through later on. Put it back on, got it back home, nursed it back. Took it to McLaren Ascot. The car's under warranty at the time. They looked at it, they went, ah yeah, one little clips has gone. Let's replace that for you, sir. So they did. They put it on, they changed it, came back. 2 weeks later, come off again. Snapped in fact. So the first thing we did when we got these cars, upgrading these things, was figure out that McLaren put cheap shit clips on their cars. And we looked at them, and we'll show you this later in the video. They're cheap 1p items. So we replaced them all with motorsport clamps. Lo and behold, no more problems. Easy done. Now this should have been a bit of a heads up for some of the problems we're going to get long term. But the fact is the car is a wonderful car, but let down by some cheap and cheerful cost cutting in places. Hose clips being one, under tray bolts being another. The fact they're not stainless is a bit amazing. It's also very frustrating when every car that comes in for a service we have to cut off half a dozen bolts because they've rusted into the chassis. Not helpful. Also not helped by sometimes technicians gunning them on with a wheel gun. Yeah, these are things you come to accept with McLaren ownership, it seems. But overall, other than that, in terms of major issues, pretty much it. We've had to replace a shock, it's leaking. We've had to replace a couple of arms, mainly on bushes failing or rubbers failing. But that's even a positive story. On the first lower front arm bush that we had to replace on mine, the gator had split. MOT failure, leaking gator. So the gator had gone. McLaren refused to supply just the gator. We had to buy a whole arm at £570 plus VAT. That gets galling after a while, I've got to say. But now since then, fast forward a few years, now you can buy the gator. It's still 45 quid. For a little rubber gator that costs maybe a penny, but it's better than £560 on lower arm, so we're happy for that. But also leads on to the other aspect of cost, these things. Biggest one for 12C650 especially is the gearboxes. Okay, most of those are done now. We haven't seen many for a while. They do get the occasional influx of cars, especially when they've been sat around for a long period of time. So we're now saying to people on a buyer's guide is that be wary of the low mileage cars. These are the ones that haven't had the gearbox replaced or sort of the warranty or someone like us. So it may well be a problem. Well, with our own warranty, for example, which we've run for these cars, we've been caught out. We inspected the car, very low mileage, 11,000 for a 5-year-old car, warranted it, great. 2 weeks later, gearbox fell. My warranty covers that. I can't say I'm happy about spending that kind of money inspecting it, but that's what warranties are for, that's what goes. But it's the first time we've seen that. Normally we inspect a car that's had 10, 20, 30,000 miles on the clock. It's not likely to go there. It's the early ones that haven't been rectified. And it's a big bill. But again, if you've got a McLaren for a gearbox issue, their only response is to replace it. 17,000 plus VAT, plus fitting, and you're 25, 30 grand to a bill. Whereas obviously what we have done is rebuilt the gearbox by actually finding the part that fails and machining our own one up and rebuilding and putting it back. And we've got a couple of dozen out there now, all no problems at all, saving the owners £15,000. So, do you measure the cost of McLaren ownership based on what McLaren want to charge you for something like a gearbox issue, or what it can be done for? Arguably, one suggests the latter, especially on a car that's outside of warranty. Other than that, other issues, not many. You can get some suspension failures, £2.5 grand a corner to fix. You can sometimes get some sensor issues falling over, quite common. Of late, we have had a few issues where there has been some oil starvation issues, or the cars run with low oil, which has caused damage to the heads, primarily followers and rockers. And again, initially the problem was you can't buy the parts. I can fix them, but McLaren refused to sell you the tools to time heads up, and they refused to sell you the parts inside. So you're looking at a head for a 12C is £7,000 a side, and of course there's two of them. So we have cars come in with £30,000 engine replacement bills because they've been run with low oil, either the previous owner or someone happened before. But now, fortunately, we've got to a point in time we now can replace the engine parts. We can rebuild heads now, so okay, saving huge amounts of money. But so what do you measure the cost of ownership of McLaren? Replacing the parts because the manufacturer refused to sell parts for it, or the actual factory cost to fix? I'd argue again, the latter. So let's say you buy a car and you have a gearbox failure and you have an engine issue and you have all the problems going on. total bill 25 grand. So let's say you bought the car now, say a 12C now, 75,000 quid, okay? And all the problems are fixed. It's £100,000. £100,000 for a fully working fixed 600 horsepower supercar. Again, doesn't sound too bad really. But of course, why is it £75,000 in the first place? You know, comparable to Porsche and Ferrari, they're all trading, you know, tens of thousands above that for arguably lesser quality vehicles. I would argue that, obviously. But the fact of life is that it's confidence. And you see these YouTube videos, people saying, can't buy a McLaren, it's going to go wrong at some point in time. Every time I meet someone at a petrol station, what problems do you have with it, mate? Yeah, and I have to sit back and say, none. Really, the problems I've had haven't been insurmountable. They're acceptable for a car of this type. And generally speaking, I'm very confident with it. Last week, 500-mile trip up to Scotland and back. Wouldn't hesitate taking the McLaren for that. In fact, why would I take another car than that? But the fact is that the general public think they're nails. They're going to bat to blow up, their depreciation nightmares, their hand grenades. And I suppose part of this video is to say that they're not. They really aren't. You know, we see 2 or 3 a week here. And if all of them were terrible, I'd have 100 cars that are all requiring 10,000 bills. As much as I like the business side of it, we don't. They come in and had one for a service this morning. Yeah, 500 quid. That was it. Didn't much doing. Out he went. No problems at all. So really the idea of this is to basically say, look, yes, there are downsides. And then in a second I'm going to go through some of the downsides that you can see. And also there'll be links in the bottom of this for our buyers guys to help people buying them. But it's really to say, look, yeah, maybe there's some branding issues in terms of quality control. And maybe some of the dealers, if they had a bit more time to repair cars rather than rebuilding ones coming off the line, there may be more opportunity for long-term relationship building with customers rather than firefighting. And maybe if McLaren made parts available, not just making entire assemblies available, thereby upping the cost, the reputation they have wouldn't be so bad. It would be based on people like myself, and dare I say, a lot of members on the McLaren Owners Club in the UK. You know, if they were that bad, there wouldn't be 200 odd members of the Owners Club all saying how great the cars are. Yes, we all moan about when they go wrong, but the fact of life is we're still in the Owners Club, we still own the cars, and we're not all in it because we have to stay in because of money-wise, because we like it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go inside and we're going to go through some of the parts that have failed and some of the ideas of where they've gone wrong. It might link into my buyer's guide type side of it, and hopefully I get a bit of a practical idea of it. So, now it's outside, I can get out of the sunshine straight out my eyes and go from there. Alright? Okay, here we are back inside. I've got the sunshine straight in my eyeballs now. Parts that fail, and some of the issues that come to why McLarens are expensive to run or have the reputation of being poor quality vehicles. First thing I mentioned about is hose clips. Right, this is one of the offending items. As you can see, closer, it's a fairly crappy little clip. Yeah, about a penny to be exact. And all of these are used to hold on the coolant pipes of your £200,000 supercar. Okay, the fact they fail is not a surprise. The fact they put them on in the first place is a surprise. So when you're sitting there in your car park with your pool of coolant on the floor, or as in my case, sat in a Le Mans campsite with a pool of coolant on the floor, so one of these just basically snaps and come off, and therefore pulling coolant as supposed to come off. What we do is that we junk all of these and we replace them with motorsport clamps. Now if I look inside here, you can see inside, it's a bit chunkier, but see little ridges inside, down there? They clamp onto the clamp, obviously, the pipe, not going to come off. Now, £1.25, about 2p. So you can see why McLaren have done it. You know, £1.25 times 18, I think they're on the McLaren, times by how many 1,000 cars adds up. But which is more important? The guy with a £200,000 car sat in the car park that's failed because of 2p clamp, or saving yourself a few quid per car on quality and components? Obviously, I think you can figure out what our view is. It's not all bad though. You know, things have changed, as well as a clamp issue, which we'd obviously do. You've got arms. There's a lower arm in front. This is my first one that failed. And as you can see, if I bring it a bit nearer, the gauge has failed. There you go. Nice big hole in it. Okay. Now here in the UK, that's an MOT fail. MOT is our version of, you know, a safety check on the car that's done every year after 3 years. A gator fail, that is an immediate fail. First time it went, McLaren would refuse to supply the rubber gator, had to buy a whole arm. So a £40 part, outrageous anyway, but £2 part, has now turned into a £700 job, which is wear and tear. Gators fell all the time. So you end up with a situation where you've got a very big bill, for essentially a very minor bill, a very minor thing. You know, no one would complain if your gator failed on your car that's 4 years old. It happens. When you suddenly got a bill for £700 to fix it, yeah, suddenly, yeah, you can see some people get upset about it. So it's things like this where the reputation of McLaren, the reputation of the cars is so badly tainted. Not because the quality is poor, although I grant you the clips being that bad is, but the fact is that they haven't made the parts available so you can fix it quickly and simply and easily, therefore the cost is so high is. And it's especially true, the next little thing coming up is engine. Now the engine is, you know, pretty much bulletproof as far as we're concerned. Run it normally, look after it properly, 100,000 miles these things, are fantastic engines. We're mapping them up to 750 brake horsepower, they don't issue at all, they're great. But run them with low oil, or low oil pressure, i.e. run them very hard when they're cold, means that the heads don't get enough oil protection and you can wear out rockers, followers and cams. Now, it's not endemic, it happens, and it's also arguably an abuse process, you know. Your car's stone cold and everything is 7,000 RPM, I've got no sympathy for you personally. But running low oil, again, check your oil levels. But again, there's an issue coming out as well. But the fact is that a worn rocker or a worn follower or worn cam are all repairable. It's expensive, engine's got to come out obviously, but it's fixable and back in it goes. But that assumes you can buy the parts, which you can't. If you have a problem with the 650, anything in the head, brand new head, £4,666 plus that, plus a whole myriad of tools and bits to make them work. If a 12C head goes, you're in the wonderful times of £7,466 per head, so 2 per car. Again, plus the tools and everything else there. So you're looking at £20,000 engine bills, which could be as low as a couple of thousand engine bills because the parts aren't available for us to use them. Now, as I said, unfortunately, we have resolved that. We now have a supplier of rockers, followers, cams, and the requisite skill and experience to rebuild these engines. So we're quite pleased with that. But we're on our own here. You know, there's not many people doing what we do, and the general view of the public on McLaren generally is, oh yeah, ran the car low oil, 30 grand bill. And then once they came here, it is. So that's a reputation killer. And that's the thing that frustrates me about lots of YouTube videos, people saying how bad they are. But you know, I go to a petrol station, I'm filling up fuel, oh mate, lovely car. How many problems you have with it? Yeah, any McLaren watching this video now is nodding away, going, yeah, lovely car, but, you know. And the fact is, there is no but. You know, I've done £5,000–6,000 over 4 years in that car. I don't think that's unreasonable. A lot of people like that, not unreasonable. But yes, there are horror stories, and also the horror stories travel further than the non-horror stories. So really the purpose of this little videoette, as it were, is to say, you know, I've had this car for 4 years. We've done lots of work on it. We've run up to 750, 800 horsepower at one point, and back down again. We've run it in standard, it's been track dated, it's been gone to Le Mans, back up to Scotland the back of the day. We looked after it, we serviced it regularly, we learned a lot from it, and it hasn't blown up, it hasn't killed me, it hasn't cost us tens of thousands of pounds over and above what you expect it to be. It is a good car. And it is one of an old car, it's a 2013 plate car. And for the majority of cars that we see in here for work, they're all good cars. They have niggly problems, and yes, it's easy to talk about the £10,000 engine build or the £5,000 gearbox work you've got to do. But ignore the £500 services. 2 650S in today, both on that £500 services each. In, done, out the door, no issues. These are 4-year-old cars, 3-year-old cars. So what I'm trying to say, get across, albeit probably really badly, is that, yeah, buying a McLaren can be a bit of a financial nightmare. McLaren Automotive, the company, don't give monkeys about the aftermarket. They don't care about the resale value of your car. It's not important to them. But as an owner of the car, it is. But don't buy a new one. You can cut rid of most of those financial risks. In terms of the problem cars being issues, get them inspected properly, find out where the problems are. You shouldn't have a problem. Yeah, sometimes it goes wrong, but it's not endemic, it's not an issue. Generally speaking, these are good day-to-day supercars of every level. That includes the 540s, 570s. 720s are still a bit new to actually find out. But again, the same thing applies to those. You can see history repeating itself. The first 720s we saw, they were thrown together. I mean, literally, you know, panel gaps, you could put books down. And they were just racked out the door. And I'm not overly defending on dealers generally, but most of their time at the moment at dealership is spent rebuilding cars that they should just be PDIing out the door. So they haven't got time to build a relationship with the second-hand owner, with the owner looking for servicing. You know, if you try and put your car into a dealer in the UK now for a service, as a second-hand, third, fourth, fifth, sixth service, 3, 4, 5 weeks. It's not the reason they're that busy. It's the fact is that they have a list of 720 customers who are saying, I've just given you a £280,000 car and my door don't fit. Okay, my roof glass is broken. I've got engine management lights on. And these dealers are having to spend the time getting the car back in to avoid giving refunds to these people and say, look, we don't want to lose you as a customer, please fix your car first. So on the basis that you're the second-hand owner of this 12C needs a service, you ain't going to go on top of the list, are you really? So I'm not trying to defend dealers too much, but I do understand they're in an awkward situation. And again, from McLaren's perspective, why are they making so money? Why are they running out of doors so fast? Why is quality control seemingly not a priority for them? Well, lots of reasons for it. I'm sure there's lots of debates about it as well. By all means, add your comments below the video. I'll be generally curious to know why they're doing it. But the fact is that as they go further forward, they can get better. 720s off the line now are better than 720s a year ago. It's not they can't do it. It's just perhaps they choose to make them too quickly to enable to do it on a timely basis. Who knows? Anyway, so to sum this video up, really, no one's paid me to do it, sadly. McLaren are not our best friends. I think they're great in many regards, but they have been quite awkward for us. And we've fought through and have created a business and hopefully a support network for McLaren owners to support the product. Weirdly, I'm probably their best salesperson. I think they're great cars. I think they really are awesome. But would I buy a new McLaren? No. Why would I? Wait 3 months, 6 months and get it 30% cheaper. I'm not an idiot. Chances are within that 6 months, the dealers have had it 3 or 4 times to fix it. The travesty, of course, it should have gone out the door without needing to be fixed. Then it's 280 grand is worth 280 grand. But in the meantime, the good news is that if you have a McLaren, don't be crying at night and sleep. These things aren't going to kill you, or financially, or hopefully in real life. But also, if you're looking to buy a McLaren, buyer's market. Just don't buy a new one, sadly. Anyway, as usual, comments are below. Happy to hear them, good or bad. We've got 2 more little videos coming out for this. One's going to be about the tuning that we do, but this one I want to specifically cover just on having a car and owning it, etc. Any problems that we've had. Hopefully it's been useful. And please, when you next see a guy in a petrol station in McLaren, okay, ask what the car's like. Okay, you don't have to follow that with a have you had any problems, mate, because it may well be the answer is no. Okay, thanks for watching. See you soon.